तो आप सब हम आज इस वीडियो में हमारा सेकंड चैप्टर क्लास 9 का इंट्रोडक्शन टू लीनियर पॉलिनोमियल स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। इससे पहले हम चैप्टर 1 अपनी पुरानी वीडियोस में कवर कर चुके हैं। यू कैन गो हैव अ लुक। तो बिफोर वी टॉक अबाउट लीनियर पॉलिनोमियल्स वी लेट्स फर्स्ट टॉक अबाउट algebraic expressions. I know you would all know, but just a recall of it. Okay, so you all know what variables are. Variables are alphabets like A, B, C, X, Y, G, E, F that we use for certain values. But they are variables because we find out their values later. Then we have constants, which are numbers 1, 2, 1,000, -5, etc. All these are constants. Now the combination of variables and constants make algebraic expressions. So when we talk about algebraic expressions, it is a combination of variables and constants. Okay, variables and constants. For example, if we have x square plus y plus 7. So you have variables also, constants as well, with the help of mathematical operators. Okay, be it a plus, be it a minus, be it a multiplication sign, be it division, whatsoever. So with the help of mathematical operators, when we combine variables and constants, we get algebraic expressions. Now, when we had algebraic expressions as a term, what was the need for polynomials then? Now, when we talk about polynomials, how are they different from expressions? Is because that when we talk about an algebraic expression, we can have x raised to the power -1 plus y raised to the power 0.5 plus a 3. This is an expression, but it cannot be a polynomial. Why? But because when we talk about a polynomial, the power of the variable is always a positive whole number, is always a whole number for convenience. So we will always have, it can have x raised to the power 100 also, more than 100 as well, but they are supposed to be natural numbers or whole numbers. Only then do we call them polynomials. If that is not satisfied, then it is considered under the category of algebraic expressions. So when we talk about polynomials, every polynomial that you talk about is an algebraic expression also. Okay. So in this chapter, we are going to talk about linear polynomials. Before we go on to that, before we talk about the term linear, let's talk about the other terms first. The other things that you need to know. Okay, so I hope it is clear till here that what is the difference between an algebraic expression and a polynomial. For polynomial, the power of the variable should be a natural number. Should be a natural number. Why a natural number? Because in exponents you have studied that any number raised to the power 0 is always 1. So we are able to define it and we call these as constant polynomials. Okay, when the answer is just a constant. So if you have a -5, for example, this is also a constant polynomial. Okay, now let's go on. Now, if we talk about the first example that's given to us, so let's talk about the first example that's given to us. We are given that we have learned about algebraic expressions in the earlier grades. In this chapter, we will learn about special types of algebraic expressions called linear polynomials. Okay, let us consider a few examples. In the first example, you are given that there are 4 pens that are there in each red box. So we are given that Raju went to a shop where there were boxes, sealed boxes of different colors on sale. The shop owner told him that the red boxes have 4 pens, each, and the blue boxes have 5 pencils each. So in the blue boxes you have pencils, and in the red boxes you have pens. Now if Raju got X red boxes, okay, let's first write it down. This means that there are red boxes. In the red one there are 4 pens. When we talk about the blue boxes, there are 5 pencils in each box. Now there are 5 pencils. Now if Raju bought X red boxes and Y blue boxes, he has bought X red boxes and Y blue boxes. How can he quickly figure out the total quantity of pens and pencils? Now, if there are Okay, let's before we move to variables, if we talk about that there was one red box and 2 blue boxes. So that means he has bought in total 4 into 1, 4 pens he has bought. And if we talk about 2 blue boxes, that means he has bought 2 into 5, which is 10 pencils. So in total, he would have got this. But now that we have our variable and the number of boxes are not given to us, so in place of 1, we'll put an X, in place of 2, we'll put a Y. So the expression telling us the total quantity he has bought would be, total quantity would be 4X plus 5Y. Okay, so that will be the total quantity. Now, if he got 3 extra pens free, how many pens and pencils did he buy together? So, if he has got with the free pens, the total quantity will be 4x plus 5y plus 3. So, that is the total quantity. Now, that's what is given here. Observe, they have given you. Now here it is mentioned, the same thing is mentioned here जो अभी हमने discuss किया है, that the total number of pens would be 4x plus 5y plus 3, which we have also found. Now we're talking about terms of an expression. When we talk about terms of an expression, it will be 4x, 5y and 3. These are the 3 terms of the expression. Now, you know what terms. We are now talking about coefficient. What do you mean by coefficient? Now, coefficient of, we find out coefficient of each term. So, for every term that has a variable along with it. So, when we talk about 4x, so what is the coefficient of x? In 4x, it is 4. What is there in front of x? In the term 4x is 4, so its coefficient is 4. Similarly, if we talk about coefficient of y in 5y, it will be only 5. And when we talk about 3, our constant is 3. So from now onwards, we will use widely used alternative word for letter numbers, which is variables, and this is the expression. So we have discussed our entire first example, जिसके अंदर हमें बताया गया था टर्म्स के बारे में, कोएफिशिएंट के बारे में और कांस्टेंट टर्म के बारे में. Moving on to the similar example number 2, where हमें बोला है कि there is a rectangular garden of length L and width W has to be fenced and decorated. A wire fence has to be laid along the length. अच्छा, अब हमें बोला है कि जो लेंथ के along जो हमारी, let's take a rectangle. Okay, तो जो हमारी लेंथ के along वायर लगनी है, that costs, this is L, this is L, this is our width and this is the width as well. तो लेंथ के along जो वायर लगनी है, that is costing us 100 rupees, and width के along जो लगनी है, that is costing us 80 rupees per meter. Okay, so when we are doing fencing, the fencing is always done in the perimeter, right? So we will first find out the perimeter. Now they have also mentioned special seeds have to be sown throughout the garden which will cost 50 rupees per square meter. Now, when we talk about sowing the seeds, if you are sowing the seeds, they will be sown here in the area. So, in the area of the rectangular garden, you would sow the seeds, which are 50 rupees per square meter. But when we are talking about the fencing part, it has to be done here. Okay, so we have to find both area and perimeter. So now they're asking what will be the total cost incurred. Now, if we talk about the wire that is there along the length, अब यहाँ पर भी 100 के अकॉर्डिंग कॉस्ट लगेगी और इधर भी 100 के अकॉर्डिंग कॉस्ट लगेगी. Similarly, if we're talking about width, either also the cost will be multiplied by 80. Here as well, the width will be multiplied by 80. So that means cost of wiring along the length, along the length, and you call it breadth or width, it's the same thing. Along the width as well, it will be L into 100 plus another L into 100 plus 80 into width and plus 80 into W. So we would have 100 L plus 100 L plus 80 W and another 80 W. So we would have both these are like terms, we would add them, they get 200L and 80 plus 80 gives us a 160W. That is the cost of fencing around the field. Now when we're talking about sowing the seeds, so the cost of sowing will be found by finding the area. So cost of sowing is length multiplied by the width, right? And L multiplied by W will be LW. The area has to be multiplied by a 50 to find out the cost. So our total cost for sowing will be 50 LW. So that means our total cost of both fencing and sowing would be 200 L plus 160 W plus 50 LW. Okay, understood how we have got this? Let's move on to the next part. Can you identify the terms, variables, coefficients of this algebraic expression? Okay, we can find out. The terms in this expression would be 200L, 160W and 50LW. ठीक है, तीनों terms हो जाएंगे. So our terms are 200L, 160W, 50LW. अब अगर हम इनके वेरिएबल्स के बारे में बात करें तो हमारे वेरिएबल्स क्या है? हमारे वेरिएबल्स हैं लेंथ और ब्रेड्थ है ना, हमारे लेंथ और विड्थ की. सो आवर वेरिएबल्स आर एल एंड डब्ल्यू. अभी हमें कह रहे हैं कि कोएफिशिएंट्स भी फाइंड कर दो. तो कोएफिशिएंट्स फाइंड करने के लिए हम पहले फाइंड क्या करेंगे, हमारी टर्म्स जिनके अंदर वेरिएबल्स हैं. तो हमारी जिन टर्म्स में वेरिएबल्स हैं वो तीनों टर्म्स में है. तो हम फाइंड करते हैं कोएफिशिएंट. सो कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ L in the first term, it will be coefficient of W in 160W. So what is there in front of L? It is a 200. What is there in front of W in 160? It is 160. Now, when we talk about 50LW, that is a different case. Understand how? So when we are talking about coefficient of L in 50LW. So when you look at now this term, you have a 50 and W, both extra. So we have a 50W as the coefficient. Similarly, if you are talking about coefficient of W in 50LW, it will be 50L. Okay, L भी साथ में extra. Similarly, now if we talk, but if you are talking about numerical coefficient, अगर हम न्यूमेरिकल कोएफिशिएंट पूछते हैं, न्यूमेरिकल कोएफिशिएंट का मतलब कौन सा नंबर है जो कोएफिशिएंट है एल का इन 50 एल डब्ल्यू, तो वो हमारा आंसर होता 50, ओनली 50। ठीक है, ऐसे अगर हम पूछते हैं न्यूमेरिकल कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ डब्ल्यू इन 50 एल डब्ल्यू, इट विल बी 50 again. Got it? Now they're asking how is it different? How is it different from the algebraic expression in example 1? जो हमने example 1 में expression बनाया था, उससे कैसे different है? उससे different इसलिए है क्योंकि यहाँ पर हमारा L जो दो L W वाली एक टर्म है जिसमें दोनों वेरिएबल्स मल्टीप्लाई हो रहे हैं, और उसमें कांस्टेंट टर्म था और इस एक्सप्रेशन में कांस्टेंट टर्म नहीं है। Moving on to example 3. Moving on to our third example, a wire of length 20 centimeters is bent in different ways to form rectangles. So the rectangles are getting formed. For example, we have a rectangle with length 7 and width 3. We can also have one of length 5.5 and width 4.5. Think of more ways of doing it. So if you have a 20 centimeter wire that's there, you can have the wire when it is bent, the total length of the wire is 20, so that means the perimeter of the rectangle has to be 20 centimeters. So the combination that give you wherever the perimeter of rectangle is 20, for example, if we have 2 into L plus B equal to 20, so that means length plus breadth has to be equal to 10. Wherever, whatever possible combinations are there, so that the sum of length and breadth is coming out 10. जहां पर भी लेंथ और ब्रेथ को सम करके 10 आ रहा होगा, वो सारे कॉम्बिनेशन हमारे इसके लिए वर्क करेंगे। ठीक है, अगला आपको बोला है कि if the length of the rectangle is x centimeter, then the width is 10 minus x, जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया। अगर हमने लेंथ को x ले लिया है तो हमारी ब्रेथ या फिर width हमारी हो जाती है 10 minus x, right? So the area of these rectangles will be x into 10x, or you can say 10x minus x square. Similarly, can you find out the terms, variables and coefficients of this algebraic expression? Of course, we can do it. Our expression as 10x minus x square. The terms are 10x and a minus x square. So what are the variables here? There is only one variable which is, यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक ही वेरिएबल है जो x है। और अगर हम कोएफिशिएंट्स के बारे में बात करें, कोएफिशिएंट्स अगेन हम उन्हीं टर्म्स का फाइंड करते हैं जहां पर वेरिएबल इन्वॉल्व हो। तो हमारी दोनों टर्म्स में है, तो हम 10x और माइनस एक्स स्क्वायर दोनों के ही कोएफिशिएंट्स फाइंड करेंगे। तो कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ x in 10x would be 10, and coefficient of x square in minus x square will be minus 1, because there is only a minus sign in front of it. So we can write this minus x square as minus 1 into x square, which makes our coefficient as minus 1. Okay, that's what is covered till here. Let's move on for page number 18. We have, now we are now coming on to what a linear polynomial is. So first expression was 4x plus 5y plus 3. The second one was 200L plus 50LW plus 160W. Another one in the third example we got is 10x minus x square. Now if you notice, in the first one we have two variables involved, and the second one also two variables are involved. But in the third example we have just one variable which is x. So such polynomials जिनके अंदर सिर्फ एक ही वेरिएबल इन्वॉल्व होता है, उनको हम क्या बोलते हैं? यूनिवेरिएट, यूनिवेरिएट पॉलिनोमियल्स। यूनिक का मतलब होता है वन, तो वो पॉलिनोमियल्स जिनके अंदर सिर्फ एक ही वेरिएबल इन्वॉल्व होता है उन्हें हम बोलते हैं यूनिवेरिएट पॉलिनोमियल्स या फिर वन वेरिएबल पॉलिनोमियल्स। ठीक है, या सिर्फ पॉलिनोमियल्स भी बोल सकते हैं। ओके, So that's what is mentioned here, that one variable polynomials, univariate, or simply polynomials, you say when they have just one variable involved. Now talking about the degree. So if you have a polynomial 5y cube plus y square plus 2y minus 1. So here the power of y is 3, then you have a power is 2, 1, and this can be written as y raised to the power 0. Correct? So when we talk about such kind of a polynomial, the highest power of the variable is called the degree of the polynomial. So degree of the polynomial is the highest power of the वेरिएबल की उस पॉलिनोमियल में जो जितनी भी हाईएस्ट पावर जा रही है वो उस पॉलिनोमियल की डिग्री हो जाती है. अगर हमारी डिग्री 3 है, अगर डिग्री 3 होती है क्यूबिक, तो उसको हम बोलते हैं क्यूबिक पॉलिनोमियल. अगर डिग्री 2 है तो उसको हम बोलते हैं क्वाड्रेटिक पॉलिनोमियल. अगर डिग्री 1 होती है तो उसको हम बोलते हैं लीनियर पॉलिनोमियल. अगर डिग्री नहीं है इन्वॉल्व, कांस्टेंट नंबर है, तो उसको हम बोलते हैं डिग्री 0 और वी कॉल देम कांस्टेंट पॉलिनोमियल्स. मतलब अगर हमने लिखा है तो इसकी डिग्री कितनी हो जाएगी 3. और अगर हमने ये लिखा है तो इधर y की पॉसिबल पावर कितनी है 1 और इधर y की पावर है 2, तो हाईएस्ट पावर कितनी आ रही है 2. तो दैट मीन्स इसकी डिग्री 2 हो गई और ये हो गया क्वाड्रेटिक पॉलिनोमियल. ठीक है. ऐसे ही अगर हमें ये दिया है +1 दे दिया, तो z की हाईएस्ट पावर कितनी जा रही है 1. सो दैट मीन्स दिस इज अ लीनियर पॉलिनोमियल. ओके. एंड इफ यू आर गिवन ओनली अ कांस्टेंट, अगर मैंने आपको सिर्फ -2 दे दिया है, तो -2 को हम क्या लिख सकते हैं, p रेज टू द पावर 0 लिख सकते हैं. कोई भी वेरिएबल रेज टू द पावर 0 लिख सकते हैं ना. तो उस पॉलिनोमियल की डिग्री कितनी हो जाएगी 0. तो हमारी इस केस में डिग्री हो जाती है 0 और इसको हम बोलते हैं कांस्टेंट पॉलिनोमियल. So whatever we have learned, there is a quiz that's followed by the video. So do attempt it, and I will see you all with exercise 2.1 in the next video. Thank you.